My father died when I was only 6 days old. He was so disappointed when he heard about the birth of his daughter. My mother was only 27 when my father died. After losing 2 husbands, 3 sons, I was all she had. She vowed to protect me, and it was a promise she kept till her death.
I'm sorry to leave you like this.
Then please, don't leave us.
My father died when I was 1, and my mother fled to England and married the evil Earl of Ange. I was kept and used by him for many years. I cannot imagine what can happen to you and our princess.
I will protect her with my life, and I will never marry again.
I cannot ask you to sacrifice your happiness. I never was a good husband.
No, you were a good husband and a king we are proud of.
Can I ask you for one more thing?
Of course.
If I die, can you please take care of my sons? I know what it is to grow up without a father and how bad things can be.
Your sons are my sons. I will watch them as one of my own. Mary would love to have brothers and sisters.
When I became Queen of Scots, my country was in turmoil, as not only their beloved young king died, the loss at the Battle of Solway Moss devastated Scotland. Many thought my healthy young father was poisoned, but no one really knew what happened. Before his death, he said, "It can we, alas, and it will gang we, alas." The Stuart dynasty started with the wedding to Marjorie Bruce, daughter to Robert the Bruce, and father somehow knew the unfortunate fate awaiting his baby girl. Although I was the queen, Scotland was ruled by Regent Arran, who signed the Treaty of Greenwich on July 1st, 1543, which gave my hands to Prince Edward of England. My father's uncle, Henry VIII, wanted me to grow up in England, and to make sure I can produce a Tudor heir, we had to agree to this as a temporary union till an heir is born. Granduncle Henry did not want his beloved son to go through divorce nor beheading to get rid of his future daughter-in-law, so he carefully crafted this prenuptial. This treaty that would make me the Queen Consort of England was rejected by the Parliament. You can't blame them. After all, King Henry VIII was involved with the death of my father and grandfather. This upset King Henry VIII like never before. He sent his future Duke of Somerset and raided Edinburgh. That forced me to move to Dunkeld, but the English attacked again, and I was moved to Inchmahome Priory. King Henry II of France now proposed on behalf of his 3-year-old son, the Dauphin Francis. Scotland was promised military help, and King Henry II even offered a French dukedom to the Regent Arran if he agrees. There was not much choice in 1548 after the English seized the strategic town of Haddington. I was sent to Dumbarton Castle, but my safety was still in question. English was expelled from Scotland after the much-awaited French help arrived at Leith. On July 1548, the Scottish Parliament agreed to the French marriage treaty and agreed to send me to France. I then spent the next 13 years of my life in France. My mother sent 4 little ladies-in-waiting with me, together with 2 of my half-brothers and my father's half-sister, Lady Fleming. I was known for my intelligence and beauty. I was good with poetry, horse riding, and needlework. I could speak French, Italian, Latin, Spanish, Greek, and Scots. Life could not have been better. Although my father-in-law, Henry II of France, was proud to have a daughter-in-law with beauty, grace, and intelligence, he did not allow the marriage to take place till I signed a secret agreement bequeathing Scotland and my claim to England to the French crown if I died without child.
I have a gift for you.
What is it? How cute. What's it for?
It's so you can always sit by my side.
That's good. I like to sit next to you so I won't look so tall.
Do you really want to marry me?
Of course. Why? Do you have another girl in mind?
No, it's just girls usually want to marry a king so they could become queen. But you're already a queen. You're so beautiful, intelligent, and sweet. So why do you want to marry me?
Because I love you.
What happens if I get sick or if I die?
Then I'll make sure you won't get sick nor die.
What happens if we can't have any children?
If God wants us to have children, then we'll have a lot of children. If that is not in God's plan, then we'll just live happily ever after with the two of us. I am happy with you. Will you get really upset if I can't give you any children?
No, I hope.
Good. Then I won't have to worry about losing my head, like the wives of my father's uncle, Henry VIII. King Henry chopped off his queen's heads and divorced 2 others because they couldn't give him a son. If you love me just for me, then we have nothing to worry about, right? Scottish Parliament approved it because Scotland needed French protection. However, many of my enemies never stopped calling me, giving Scotland away.
Mother, I do not want to get married now.
Why? I thought you love her.
I do, but that's why I don't want to marry her.
Why?
You know I'm not ready. Didn't the doctor tell you?
I know what I need to know. It doesn't matter. You need to marry her now.
I don't want to marry her until I can find a cure.
You are engaged to her. And if you are healthy enough to sign the marriage contract, then you are well enough to marry her.
It's not fair to her. You made her sign the crown matrimony. So if she dies without an heir, France will take over Scotland. Did you tell her that we will never have children?
No, I did not. And you did not either, did you?
She was so excited preparing for our wedding day. I didn't want to ruin that. So, have her marry someone else. Have her marry Charles. Let her have a life and children she deserves.
And just what makes you think that she would have children with Charles? If you love her, you need to marry her now. It's the only way to protect her. Did you know that Scotland needs our protection? If we hadn't intervened and stopped the English invasion, they would have been wiped off the face of the earth. If Mary dies without an heir, then France has no reason to protect Scotland. And do you even realize how brutal the English were when they invaded Mary's Scotland?
But she should still know before giving up her happiness.
Her life was set the day the Scottish Council passed your marriage agreement. She has to honor that agreement.
Then, let's wait a few years until a doctor can fix me.
We must do it now. England's Mary Tudor has just died, and our Mary has the best claim to the English throne. Your father cannot wait to unite Scotland with England and France. There's no time to wait.
In April 1558, I married my first love, my first husband, Francis. When my cousin Mary Tudor died in 1558, my father-in-law proclaimed Francis and myself as King and Queen of England. This title may look good on my new coat of arms, but it has brought me more trouble than it's worth. When King Henry died in 1558, Francis became King of France at age 15. I thought we would live happily ever after. I am happy with you even if we don't have any children. I love you for who you are. And if we are meant to have children, great. If we don't, then that's God's will. Then I'll still be the happiest queen. Right?
But if I die, who will protect you?
You won't die. But we only had one more year together. In Scotland, the Protestant lords invited English troops into Scotland, but France was unable to send any support because of a Huguenot rising. Devastated, my mother died. I don't know if she was murdered or just gave up. I was sad as I could not send troops to help her, nor see her. I refused to ratify Treaty of Edinburgh, which ordered withdrawal of both French and English troops, and recognized Elizabeth's right to rule England. How could I sign the treaty? Who would protect Scotland when French troops leave? 3 days before my 18th birthday, Francis died. 9 months later, I returned to Scotland. I am now a Catholic queen surrounded by Protestant lords with little military support, and had to rely on my half-brother, Lord of Moray, James Stuart, to deal with the dangerous and complex political situation in Scotland. Both my mother and I trusted Lord of Moray, but he plotted against both my mother and I. Time after time, I forgave him, only to be hurt by him again and again. I realized that the only way to strengthen my grab on my country is to have foreign allies. I offered myself to the Spanish heir apparent, Don Carlos, but King Philip refused it because, unbeknown to most, Don Carlos was crazy.